One Piece Chapter 1073, officially titled Miss Buckingham Stussy, begins with yet another cover story for the Mads Outlaw Science Group. This cover image sees Dr. Vegapunk creating peaceful inventions, such as a tank that shoots flowers, while Caesar Clown, Vinsmoke Judge, and Queen look at him with disgust. Lucci says this is a hard pill to swallow. The chapter then shows Lucci attacking Stussy. However, he misses since he's attacking an illusion, with Stussy using a Kami-e paper art technique called remaining body. Stussy says so when you don't understand, your first instinct is to kill. While Lucci is distracted by the illusion, Stussy uses a lipstick bottle with sea prism stone in it to weaken him by pressing it against his body. Lucci says you bitch, Stussy replies and says I know how strong you boys are, fighting you fair and square would have been stupid. Stussy then bites Lucci, causing him to fall asleep, like Kaku did. Brook says just a moment, what is this? Why are the CP0 agents at each other's throats? Zoro says friendly fire. Stussy contacts Pythagoras and says I put them both to sleep. Pythagoras says that's fantastic news, Stussy came through. Usopp asks what's going on. Chapter 1073 finally confirmed that Stussy is whom Dr. Vegapunk spoke with and that it wasn't Dr. Vegapunk's intention for her to become a CP0 member. Robin says you had a mole in the intelligence branch. It's also confirmed that despite being an ally, Stussy can't stop the Seraphim as she's on the same level as Lucci in the hierarchy. This prompts Vegapunk Lilith and Vegapunk Edison to come out of the lab stratum building. Zoro says we need to stop those ruts before they flatten the others. Brook replies and says right, and is it me or do those kids look familiar? Zoro replies and says I know especially. That one, S-Hawk tries to attack Lilith before she gives the order to stop, but Zoro blocks the Seraphim and engages in a clash with it. S-Hawk is seemingly in shock with regard to Zoro's strength. Zoro says on similar inspection you're not the same, you actually have a spark of humanity still. Zoro asks the Seraphim what are you? S-Shark then attacks Edison, but immediately tells the Seraphim to stop. Lilith says no he can't be, but he's saved by Sanji. Zoro says the Seraphim finally stopped, and can someone tell me what these things are? Stussy tells Shaka that she bound Lucci and Kaku with sea stone. Shaka says much appreciated Stussy, we are leaving the island, you should come with us. Stussy says understood. Usopp says hey you can't keep adding people. One Piece Chapter 1073 then shifts to Luffy and Chopper, who are running around a lab stratum looking for the real Dr. Vegapunk since he and Bonnie disappeared. The narrator says a truly unexpected development, Dr. Vegapunk's main Stella body has vanished. However, neither they nor fans see any trace of the pair in the issue, prompting the scene to change to Sphinx Island. The narrator says Sphinx, New World, Whitebeard's hometown. Someone is heard calling for Marco's name. On Sphinx Island, it is revealed that Marines had arrived while Marco was helping out in Wano. Marco says sorry kids, I didn't mean to leave you in such a bad place. However, the kid tells Marco that it's not his fault. The Marines were the worst and the kid tells Marco that the Marines were there for Whitebeard's treasure, they were just like pirates. In a flashback the Marine says if you play nice you won't get hurt. A Marine that looks like a bitchy ass mouse says, remember this place is not government affiliated, so they have no rights in the island. The disgusting Marine says Whitebeard must have kept all of his treasure here, if you don't tell us where it is, we'll consider it an act of defiance. A grown-ass man threatens to shoot a kid and says if shooting you will make you talkative then I will shoot you. Wait, let's leave the manga for a moment. How is a 7-year-old supposed to know where Whitebeard's treasure is? Like come on, these Marines are just stupid. Now let's go back to the chapter. The kid replies and says there is no treasure here, stop pointing that gun at my little brother. The old hag says you really can't treat us like humans just because we can't pay the government, you monsters. The ugly mouse Marine says are you sure it's wise to act tough while Marco is not here, and then he tries to shoot at the old hag. The people beg the Marines to stop and say she's just an old lady. However, Edward Weevil and Miss Bakken arrived in time to protect the village. Weevil says stay away from Papa's home. The Marines start running away from Weevil, and one of them say warships were meant to hunt down the warlords, now they are disbanded. A Marine says we have lost all contact with the other squad, he got them all, what strength is a bona fide monster. In a flashback the Marines quickly got back to the ship and they asked for immediate assistance. The chapter then returns to the present day, and the kid tells Marco that if it wasn't for that big guy, the village would have been toast. Marco says what a hero, I'm glad all of you are safe. Miss Bakken shows up and says that wasn't the end of it. Marco, who do you think they sent in after the call for backup? The narrator introduces Miss Buckin and says former member of the Rocks Pirates, self-proclaimed scientist, Mads President freeloader Miss Buchan aka Buckingham Stussy. It is revealed that Weevil was captured by Admiral Ryokugyu. Now Marco is with Miss Buchan, asking him to bring her son back and to give her Whitebeard's treasure. Miss Buchan tells Marco that her son was sent to prison for protecting his father's treasure. Isn't this tragic? Don't you think our boy was a noble soul? Marco thanks Miss Buchan for protecting his island. Buchan replies to Marco and says, I can hear it in your tone. You still doubt he's Whitebeard's son? Well, I know someone who can prove it, Dr. Vegapunk. This suggests that Weevil could be a clone of Whitebeard. The chapter then shifts perspective to Kizaru's ship, seemingly still on its way to Egghead Island. Someone calls Kizaru and says we made snacks and tea for our guest. Kizaru replies and says I'm sure you remembered to test for poison, right? The subordinate says of course sir. Kizaru says I'll take it to him, go back to your post. The admiral himself is seen bringing some snacks and drinks to an old man on the ship. After bringing the man his food and drink, Kizaru has a conversation with him. Kizaru asks him if he's ever met Dr. Vegapunk, to which the old man says yes, but just once in the past, and says I think what's going on is truly a shame. It is then excitingly revealed that the old man is one of the Gorosei members, specifically the one with a scar on the left side of his face and the gray dreadlocks. It is also revealed that his name is Saint Jagarcia Saturn, with the issue coming to an end as Saturn says he regrets that it has come to this. What do you think of this chapter? Leave your answers in the comments section below. And would you kindly smash that subscribe button?